Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to another First Wednesdays of the Music Administration Collaborative. I'm Rick Ganelli, the Director of the Music Administration Outreach, along with my partner in crime, Gary Markham, our Executive Director for the Music Administration Collaborative. And we have a guest tonight that's a member of our Con Summer team, Elisa Janson Jones. She's our Senior Product Manager for our digital learning and our marketing department. And, you know, when she originally proposed this idea, I thought, well, that's good information to have. At the time in my mind, I was thinking, you know, we're sort of over the COVID hump a little bit. So maybe this isn't going to be quite as applicable as it once was. But I don't know what's happening in your area, but it's hitting us in Texas. I know we've had some schools closed, some districts shutting down. And so everybody's scrambling to go back to virtual. Gary, I don't know if you got a pulse on what it's like in your area, or
it's really,
Elisa.
It's really pretty normal.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know there was a pandemic.
Oh,
there.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, I think, you know, with some of this stuff that's going on, like I said to Elisa, this is good information all of the time, but it's even more important and probably more timely right now if schools are going to have to start looking at going back to a more virtual situation. So I don't want to take up any more time. Elisa, it's all yours. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's really such a privilege. You know, I actually have been on the back end of this webinar on many occasions, and it's always such a privilege to get to support music administration, music arts collaborative, and all the great work that you guys do. So I'm so happy to be able to share with you some great resources that you might want to tap into for your teachers. So we're going to go ahead and keep us on track with the PowerPoint, because that's what it's all about these days, right? So we're going to be talking about tools for supporting your students, your teachers, and all of these tools can be used whether you're in person or hybrid or online. So I'm going to be walking you through them. Here's what we're going to cover today is online software for supporting music learning that we know your teachers will love. Not we ConSelmer, we as teachers, because teachers talk to other teachers and we share ideas and resources and, you know, which programs, which things are working the best for you right now. So a lot of this comes from our own network of teachers, and I'm going to talk to you about that network a little bit. Non-music software tools as well that will help streamline your teacher's prep, teaching, and assessment. That's one of the biggest complaints we heard all over last year was, you know, it's so much more time intensive to create new resources that they've never used before that can be adapted to online learning. So if we can give them some tools to be able to quickly and effectively create those resources, that's going to really help support your teachers and give them some of their own personal time back as well. So we're also going to be talking about digital resources to support your teachers' continued learning, because as we saw last year, that's a steep learning curve for many teachers. I myself was a band and orchestra director early in my career, and guess how much classroom technology I used? It was the CD player, and that was about it. And that's what a lot of us were used to. So it was a very steep learning curve, and we learned best from each other. We're also going to be talking about some bonus resources that can help make their lives easier and really more effective. I get asked a lot to present my 7 self-care strategies. So we're also going to be talking about some tools that you can turn your teachers onto to give them a little more self-care strategies. And I know that's like such a hot button issue right now, like just give us less to do, but there's more to it than that, really. So the big takeaway today is that I hope I can help you make some really smart decisions that will drive better instructional time and teacher job satisfaction. So if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. I'm notoriously bad at being distracted by the chat and the Q&A. So I'm going to wait until the end to address any of your questions and to revisit the chat. So don't feel like I'm ignoring you. I just want to make sure that we can cover all of this great information for you. And then I can spend some time at the end to really address your questions in the more meaningful way. So a little bit about me. I've been with Conn-Selmer about a year now, actually just over a year. It's been awesome. I have been sort of brought on to help lead the digital product division. So digital learning products, great ways that we can reach out and support teachers and students in the school. I'm also one of the co-founders of this huge network of music teachers on Facebook called the Music Educators Creating Online Learning. I know some of you might be in that. When the pandemic first hit and schools shut down, I thought, what better thing can I do to help support teachers than to create a robust Facebook group where they can all come together. We brought in some industry partners, we brought in some technology experts, and it's a continuing thriving community because we have such a great team of moderators who work together, who have different backgrounds. So I can't recommend that enough, not because I created it, but because of what it's become with the great members and moderators in that group. I'm also a podcast creator, and I'm going to share that podcast with you because it can be a really great resource. Even though I'm the host, I bring on experts in a wide variety of topics, all off the podium topics, the kind of stuff that we don't always get to address as music teachers. And of course, I'm an experienced K-8 music teacher. So I have a strong elementary background, middle school. I have not done high school, but I do conduct my local community band. That's where I get my awesome experience to make music these days. And I've also been a nonprofit and educational business consultant. I know I'm almost out of breath here, but I do have in addition to my music degree, I bring in a strong business background too, because I have my MBA. And I'm also working on my doctorate of instructional design. So a lot of these are going to be through these multi-lenses of what teachers are loving, how the business side of it works, and how it can really be helpful for online learning and instructional technology, okay? The key point is that I help music educators build, manage, and grow thriving school music programs and have long and happy careers. And my hope is that some of these tools today can help fulfill that mission too. So real quick disclaimer, this list is not inclusive. Think of this as like a highlight reel of the technologies that teachers are talking about the most, okay? Also, we don't, Conn-Selmer does not receive any kind of financial benefit from the purchase of any of these platforms or softwares, except for Music Professor, which we are a distributor of. So just wanted to clear that up right from the beginning. We don't talk about any pricing or anything in this, really just why they're resources that your teachers can love. So let's jump into part one. These are the music specific tools that can work for in-class learning, online, hybrid, not only instructional materials, but also assessments. So how do we track students? And I noticed in the chat, some people are concerned about that communication level with students. And a lot of these platforms have a communication tool built in, which can be incredibly helpful, especially for smaller schools where maybe you don't have, I know at my school, it took 3 years of me being there before we got Google Classroom as a communication tool, but it still created another area where students had to go to receive that communication. So if you can have it already embedded into your learning management system, or, you know, like a one-stop shop for students, that's a really great option. So let's talk about sort of these biggest ones. Smart Music is a really powerful, great tool. It's got robust built-in content libraries. It's partnered with Alfred Music Publishing and a lot of smaller publishers as well. So a lot of their music literature is already in there. It's got lots of great practice tools. It tracks student practice time. They can loop things. They can use a metronome. There's a built-in tuner. They can print their parts at home. And I'm going to say that one again. They can print their parts at home, which means that your teacher can actually start them on a piece of music by just assigning it right in the platform, and they can print it out at home without the teacher having to take paper copies of music around. It also includes a grade book, custom rubrics. They have a sight reading builder, which is great for in classroom as well, especially if you're working a lot on sight reading with students. You just put in the parameters and it pops out a sight reading exercise. It's got the integrated communication between students and teachers, includes composition tools, because Smart Music is a partner software with Finale. So you've got composition tools to cover a lot of that music literacy stuff. And it's all web-based, so it's accessible on all devices, Chromebooks, iPads, whatever you happen to have access to in your school. And it's great for self-paced remote learning or in classroom. And one of my favorite features is it's SSO enabled. And a lot of these LMSs, these learning management systems are SSO enabled, which means that if you're a Google school, your students don't have to create a whole new login. They can actually use their Google login to create their user account in these platforms. So that's really helpful for safety reasons as well. Okay. Number 2 is Music First, another big platform built by a music educator. It's sort of an all-in-one learning management solution. It includes a library of teaching resources, including lesson plans for complete courses. So I actually got a demo of this, and I loved how it made it so easy for you to plan out a whole month of lessons that could be done, again, either in person or entirely online, and you just assign it to certain classes, and it's all developed by music teachers already. So you're not having to invent your own lesson plans. You can just take parts of other people's and plan out your entire semester of learning right in the platform. It's got great built-in practice tools with their Practice First software, and sight reading and sight singing tools, the ability to add on additional premium content. So if you don't want to have the whole robust library, you can just pick and choose which items you want. And you can add in additional softwares like Noteflight, which is a great practice tool and online composition tool. One of my favorite things to play with, and Soundtrap, which is an online digital audio workstation. So for general music classes, for composition, that DAW system, the Soundtrap. Another one to look into, I should mention, is BandLab, because I believe that one's free as well. And then it's also web-based, so it's accessible, and it's also got the SSO enabled. So Music First. Music First, I should also say, allows you to pick and choose which softwares are integrated with the learning management system. So you can also be very budget friendly on that one, depending on the tools that your music teachers need. Muse Class just launched at Texas Music Educators in February. It's a brand new assessment platform. It's been designed to be incredibly easy to use. Teachers can upload their own PDFs, their own videos as assignments. They can incorporate a lot of the content that's already available at musescore.com, which is it's really hard to explain. It's shared content by users. Okay, it's crowdsourced. So it does integrate with crowdsourced library of MuseScore. I should just read my slide. It's very easy to use, fast to set up. I've already tried it out as well. They have an app for students, and that's all. So students can use it on any device, and it does do video assessments. Teachers can assign rubrics so that students can see what the assignment is, what they're expected to do, and then use their phone or iPad or Chromebook to record and then submit that assignment. And it doesn't have to be a video, it can be audio. It can also be used in classroom. And it's free. I'm just gonna pause there. It's free. So might be a good one to look into. Music Professor, like I said, this is one that we are a distributor of, and it's a high quality video resource library created by professional players and professional teachers. So I'm a French horn player. This is my lovely Con 8D. I also play trumpet and some clarinet and flute. I am not a great oboe player, okay? I'm not very good at bassoon either. And so it would be great to have, as a teacher, a video-based tool where I can actually have a professional oboe teacher show my students the tips for how to play an oboe, how to sound good, what to do with your reed. All of that is right in the Music Professor platform. It's especially good right now as I'm hearing from a lot of teachers that they want to recruit not just the kids who have already sequentially been in their program, but a lot of the students who haven't been in their program, who may be a year or two behind. But Music Professor allows them to work at their own pace sequentially or modularly. So you can actually say, yeah, that you junior in high school who's never played saxophone before, come play with our symphonic band. I'm going to get you into Music Professor. You can learn it a lot at home and play catch up. And I can attest to this too. My daughter was a senior. She just graduated, just started at University of North Texas to get her music education degree because she's freaking awesome like that. But she wanted to learn the cello after her junior year of high school. So she went into the orchestra teacher and said, Mrs. Lavity, I really want to play the cello. And so she sent her home with the cello, and she was able to learn it on her own using her own resources. Now it was a little slower because she didn't have something like Music Professor to help her along. But because the video resources are also modular, they can be used in class for demonstration. They can be assigned. It's online, so it's all accessible on demand. The learning management system also tracks how much they're practicing. So teachers can see when the students logged in last, how much of each course that they've actually completed. And that's all trackable in there. They also have a built-in community feature. It looks and acts very similar to like a Facebook feed of a group, but it's all internal and only the students who are assigned to that group. It's called the communities feature, and it's a great communication tool for teachers. So students can log into Music Professor, they can see what assignments or information is on in the community, and then go right into whatever lesson that they've been assigned. So also great for the flipped classroom model, self-paced learning, all of that kind of good stuff too, okay? Oh, and I do want to bring up, it promotes equity. A lot of what we're hearing from smaller schools too, is that a lot of students can't afford private lessons. And this can be a sort of bridging of that gap between students who can get private lessons and those who cannot, because it is designed also to function as a private lesson platform if necessary. Okay. Tonal Energy is an app, and I know my amazing coworker, Erin Colesteele, swears by it. It's not free. It's like $4 for the app, but it's a really great positive reinforcement practice tool. It can track their student practice. It's app-based, so it's available on all devices. It's got a ton of features, so it might take older people like myself a little bit of time to learn all the ins and outs, but I guarantee your junior high and high school students are going to learn it in a jiffy. Includes visually interesting metronomes and tuner and all of that. So could be another good tool. All right, those are kind of the big highlighty ones. Let's talk about what can work for all teachers, regardless of what subject matter they are teaching. Okay, so those were all the music ones. These are all the non-music ones to help them create all of their learning opportunities. These, again, I have to say there are so many out there, but these are the big ones that time and time again we're seeing teachers using, helping each other on. These are the big ones that they really can't live without. So, not a big surprise. Google has a ton of amazing tools for teachers to use, and they all interconnect and they all save to the cloud. So that means that these are great tools for collaboration. Documents and projects, they auto save, they auto sync to multiple devices, and they can be worked on by multiple people in real time. So if I wanted to do a collaboration with you all right now, I could just start a Google Doc and say, okay, write down all the questions or all the ways that you use your learning management system with your teachers or whatever. And we could all be working on there at the same time. Totally helpful. I know most of you probably know that. Also has all the software you need kind of in one place, including a website builder. So I've done a lot of web development myself. And at the beginning of the pandemic, got a lot of questions about, well, I don't have a communication system for my students. I really feel like I need to build a website, but I don't know how. And Google has a really simple, easy to use website builder that has all the tools a teacher might need. I used to do that for my elementary kids. I had a different page for every grade. And as we were learning new songs, I was able to embed the videos to those songs, including videos of me singing and doing the actions so they could sing along with Miss Jones. Really great tools. They also have some communication tools, including Google Classroom, of course, is a great tool, but they have chat, currents, Jamboard, all that good stuff. Oh my goodness. And if you haven't seen like the way teachers are creating virtual classrooms in Google Slides with like a picture of them as a Bitmoji, it's so cute. They were really hip a year ago. They're probably going to come back too. So Flipgrid is another one that we hear a ton about. It's a free resource. It's video assessments and discussions as well on a classroom level. So they create their classes in Flipgrid, and only certain classes can be added, or certain people can be added to those classes. Students have the option of blurring themselves on the video, which can be really nice because then, you're not seeing their background, and that just gives them that extra layer of protection and privacy from their private home. They can also add filters. If they don't want to see their faces, they can add like an emoji on their face, and they can record as many times as they need to get the outcome that they want, which is actually great practice for students. Lots of great safety features built in. It was intentionally designed for schools. So lots of great privacy features there too. And it starts for free. So includes a robust learning library of teacher guides. So it not only is giving them the tool, it's giving them the resources to know how to use the tool in a really effective way for any grade level. Lots of video projects over the last year, am I right? Like raise your hand if you had a school in your area do one of those collaborative videos, or like a virtual band or virtual choir video. We had a lot of teachers get frustrated that they couldn't do those themselves because the video software can be so expensive. And then there's a very steep learning curve on how to use really great softwares like Premiere, or there's a lot of them out there. But WeVideo is web-based. It starts for free, very affordable and intuitive. I cannot attest to using it myself because I unfortunately have one of those nice programs and have spent years learning it. But a lot of teachers attest to WeVideo. It's cloud-based, it's autosave, and students can collaborate on video projects right in WeVideo as well, and in real time. So it's also secure, safe environment, and works with many popular learning management systems. Edpuzzle is another one that I have actually used, and it's super fun. It basically can turn any YouTube video into a little lesson. So they can create stopping points where students will have to take a quiz at a certain point in the video. They can do a teacher voiceover. So let's go back to my oboe example. If I pulled up a music professor video with the oboe player in it, I could actually like pause and create a little voiceover. Okay, oboe players, notice how this teacher is holding their hands, okay? Look at how far the reed is going into their mouth, because that can really affect the tuning. So it gives teachers an opportunity to supplement what's being learned in the video using their own tone of voice and their own teaching style and technique, which is incredibly empowering, as I'm sure you know. It also holds students accountable. They can set up checkpoints where they have to pass a multiple choice question or fill it in or something before they can go on and complete the assignment. And it's free with the basic account. It also has like automatic integrations with a lot of Khan Academy. So if they're doing cross-curricular lessons, there's no music stuff on Khan Academy. But if they're doing, lessons about music history, if they're doing a little collaboration with the science department, maybe, those are great opportunities, as well as TED Talks. TED Talks are in there, integrated as well. A lot of teachers do turn to YouTube for resources, and a lot of teachers create resources on YouTube and then kind of forget that not everybody has like YouTube Premium and can watch without commercials. So SafeShare is a free website where they can just put in the YouTube URL and they can trim it to the relevant point of the video. They can embed it into their Google website, for example. And that way students don't have to go to the YouTube website, which of course gets them into cookies and pixels and tracking and all of that stuff. They can still use YouTube videos, but in their learning management system and within the own safe school ecosystem. So a very, very handy tool. Can also be done with Vimeo, has privacy controls, shares directly to Google Classroom, and again, another great free tool for SafeShare. This is another one of my favorites. We had a lot of teachers being like, wait, how do I take a document and add live URL links to it, right? Because that's what they do with the Bitmoji classroom. Like you just design your classroom and yourself, and then you can add all of these links to additional resources. So when you click on a thumbnail of the video, the actual video can pop up and play. There's a lot of tools that teachers want and need. And if you're buying every single one of them, it's going to get pretty expensive. And it may be like one-time, two-time use kind of thing. Well, 123 Apps actually has a lot of these already built in, all in one place and totally free. And we're talking about like file converters, video, audio editing, PDF tools, which can be incredibly helpful to be able to edit PDFs, right? So you can create one PDF for all of your classes and then just edit out the grade level or you can change the rubric, whatever you need to do to that PDF. It also includes a lot of great instructions right on the page, so they don't have to go and find, wait, how do I use this tool? It's like right there, all built in into their browser. So again, totally free. Hopefully this is helpful. I think that's Beth dropping those links. You go, girl. All right, let us move on. Part 3, let's talk about supporting your teachers' continued learning. And this is what I'm particularly passionate about. I quit my full-time teaching job just to focus on professional development and supporting music educators. So just so you know, this is where my heart lives, is resources for teachers to continue learning, okay? Number 1 is podcasts. And I know that you're like, but that was so 2010, Elisa. Podcasts are still pretty hot with music teachers because they're not music. We get listening to music all day long. We're singing the same songs over and over, especially elementary music teachers. We're teaching the same song to multiple grades. And so talk radio and podcasts can be a total lifesaver. And if they're things that we can relate to, they're even more relevant to us. So for all your teachers, so if you're a fine arts administrator and you've got your dance teachers and your visual arts teachers, and you need to take care of them as well, this Truth for Teachers with Angela Watson is fantastic. It really talks about real teacher issues and how to deal with them in a really positive and helpful way. For all music teachers, we've got the Music Ed Mentor podcast. That one's mine. Like I said, we focus on non-pedagogical issues, so more like program management. I just did one about decolonizing the music classroom, and really specific questions about that all come down to what is really useful for music teachers that they need to know that they aren't going to find out anywhere else. And the Music Tech Teacher podcast with Katie Wardrobe, she is like the queen of teaching teachers how to use a lot of these tech tools. And she covers a lot of that in her podcast with her guests as well. I love these two humans. Jessica Peresta and David Rao are helping so many elementary music educators. These ones are very content driven. So all of David's stuff is like, hey, here's how you're going to teach this great song for your first, second, and third graders. And Jessica's really deals with program management as well, specifically on the elementary level. And they're both award-winning elementary music teachers. They're fantastic. The Everything Band podcast with Mark Connor, he interviews some of like the biggest names in the band world, from composers and arrangers to performers. When he invited me to be on his podcast, I like had to fangirl a little bit because I was like, wait, you've had Frank DeKelly on there. It's a really great band podcast, covering a ton of great content. Choir Baton with Beth Philemon is fantastic for choir teachers. And for admin and advocacy, if you are looking for something to listen to and you haven't found the NAM Foundation's Talking Up Music Education, it's a fantastic resource for advocacy and knowing what's going on at a much higher level as well. We're big fans of the NAM Foundation. They do so much and are so impactful in the community of music educators. All right, Facebook groups, whether you love or hate Facebook, it all depends on the algorithm. And if you follow these great Facebook groups, these are all ones that I think they're all ones that I can attest to as being really well managed. And so your teachers are going to find some great useful tools in a lot of these groups. So you're going to want to take maybe some screenshots of these, because I know that it's a lot of bullet points all on one screen. So the music educators creating online learning, like I said, we've got, I don't know, Beth, is it 13, 14, 15 moderators of wide, diverse area backgrounds, great mod team.
Yeah, there are 15 of us, I think.
Yeah. So, and people don't just talk about online learning in there. They will ask any question, and it's so friendly and so helpful. I'm extremely proud of it. Decolonizing the Music Room is a fantastic resource too. I know it's a big topic with diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. They talk a lot about how to deal with those issues in really meaningful and positive ways, and also helps safeguard teachers from doing things that might be seen as offensive to music students as well. And it's just a matter of education, because, you know, again, it's not something that we've covered in our music teacher training. The music teacher group is great, especially for private lesson teachers. It's another big audience, a little less directed because it's music teachers, but another great resource. Google Classroom for music educators, hip hop music ed, and I love Little Kids Rock. Big fan of their whole pedagogical concept too. So for incorporating a little more student-centered learning, those last two are particularly relevant. I'm a general music teacher is great for elementary, as is Elementary Music Teachers Anonymous. The middle school band directors group is my favorite band directors group. Everybody in there is so helpful and so positive, and they're all middle school band teachers, so they get to help each other. And once a month, like, a bunch of composers will come in and talk about their new pieces. It's really a great group. And the Creative Repertoire Initiative is a great place to go. It's founded by a lot of composers, and they wanted to support music educators right at the beginning of the pandemic. And they're giving out like free new pieces of music, free band scores, free choir scores. So it's a great resource if you're looking, like, you don't have a big budget for actual music. Look at the Creative Repertoire Initiative, because you could find some things on there. And of course, the I'm a Choir Director group, having been a choir director, very great resourceful group. So you get 5 seconds, take a screenshot of that one. It's pretty handy. All right, one more just for fun, because if you're not looking at hilarious memes on Facebook, are you really living on Facebook? I don't know. So when I really need a brain break, safe one that I go to is Photoshopped horns. It's just this one Photoshop expert who puts French horns and things. So I had to throw in one fun one there for you. And, you know, I'm a horn player. All right, let's talk about apps that are great. And a lot of these ideas actually come from my good friend, Nicole Laborte. Just started her doctorate at UNT, and she's a music technologist, just had her on the podcast. She says if you're using a learning management system that has an app as well, huge tool for you there. So encourage your teachers, like if you're using Google Classroom, to get the Google Classroom app, because it can make their management a little bit easier. I love all the Google products because they talk to each other. So you can, if you're using Gmail, it will automatically like put things on you guys all probably, I feel like everybody should know this stuff, but we're gonna cover it anyway. Kahoot is a hilariously fun way to do multiple choice gamification in the classroom. I have 3 kids of my own. Like I said, my daughter's in college, but I got a sophomore and an 8th grader as well. And when they do Kahoot days, they come home and tell me about it. Not just, hey mom, we played Kahoot today. They were like, here's what I learned in our Kahoot session today. So it's an incredibly useful gamification tool. And a lot of the stuff that's in there is pre-built. So it's not like teachers have to go in and create their own, although they can. There are a lot in there that are already pre-built. Seesaw is also great for student video portfolios. So if you're not able to host a concert, heaven forbid that we have to go back to not hosting concerts again, but you need some way for the teachers to have a public display of their students' learning. Seesaw could be a great solution to that. You've got communications management. I love Slack. It's free to start out. You can create different chat channels. It builds a lot of great rapport and community, especially when teachers are all spread out and working from a home office. Take it from me, working from a home office. All my coworkers are in different states. The Remind app, Nicole swears by this one because it allows teachers to communicate with their students without giving out like their personal private phone number. Everything's goes through the Remind app, all the communications, and it also creates a sort of written record of what happens, which I'm sure as administrators, you all understand the importance of having like a record of the communications between teachers and students. I've even heard of those, Remind documents being used in court cases or whatever. So could be a really helpful communication tool. Oh, and I'm a big believer in reaching students where they are. Most students, I'm not going to say all, many students don't have cell phones, but many students do. And so and they're staring at them all the time, right? So being able to message students in a way that they are actively participating in is getting on their level. And it makes it really relevant for them, those teacher communications. Okay. Life management. These are the how do I improve my brain, right? I've been using Insight Timer for the last 14 years or something like that. Probably about as long as the app's been around. It's got a bunch of built-in guided meditations. It can be a timer. It's got background music. A lot of teachers started using these apps in their classroom as sort of a welcome and connection activity, especially at the start of rehearsals, just to help everyone get nice and centered and in a good place so that effective learning can really happen. Calm and Headspace do that as well. And I didn't know this, but there's actually on Netflix a whole series of Headspace videos. So the more we can train teachers to be intentional with their own self-care, to acknowledge that they need to be at their best for their students. And when we give to ourselves is when we can really give to others. And all of these apps can really help them develop a pattern that helps them to learn that and apply it in their daily lives. And that is it for today. So here's what we covered. We talked about music-specific tools, technology tools that you can use for music teaching. We covered a bunch of resources that will work ubiquitously for all teachers to help streamline their teaching and help them with the little bit higher job satisfaction. We covered resources that they can turn to learn more, to improve their own teaching practice. And we talked about some fun things like the Photoshop Torrens group, okay? And that's it. So now I'm going to take a look and see if we have any questions. I'm going to revisit the chat. Rick, do you field these?
James Doherty mentioned one of the main concerns, needs, desires for teachers is the possibility for the assessment piece of the music software to integrate into the LMS required to be used by their school system. So Canvas, Google Classroom, that kind of integration would ease the teacher burden of having to transfer grades and assignments from one platform to another for a more seamless connection. So I don't know how familiar you are with the integration piece.
Every LMS is a little bit different and has different integrations. So I know some learning management platforms, you can do video assessments, but the students have to upload that as an assignment. It's not natively integrated into the learning management system. So for now, there is a tool that some LMSs can sort of set up that can create that integration, but not many of them have it in the music space yet. So unfortunately, we do still have to jump through some of those grading hoops. And I know that that's a challenge, but it's a better challenge to be able than not seeing your students or not knowing how they're doing anyway.
Right. Boy, Elisa, this is amazing information. You know, as a fine arts director, as you said, we're responsible for providing resources for all of our teachers, and it's almost impossible to keep up with everything with all the new stuff that's coming out. I can remember even on a yearly basis, we would have one of our friends in Texas who owns her own like audio visual company, and she would come and talk every year about here's all the new microphones, here's all the new recording, you know, because the technology is changing so quickly. So to have all of this in one place, and for you to have done all the digging and the background work, and we really appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully it'll be very helpful to the teachers out there.
Yeah, Elisa, this is absolutely amazing. So thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. And please, if you have any questions, you need me to point you in a direction of a resource, if there's something you're looking for, I'm happy to do the little bit of research. And again, all of this doesn't just come from me, my personal use, but most from our great communities of music educators who are working so well together, because we really can't do it alone.
Very cool.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you. And several of you have asked, are we going to be able to get this presentation? Are we going to be able to get all these links? There's so much, and and that's a good problem. But yes, Beth, who's our behind the scenes person, she will pull all this together for us and provide the replay links. We'll have it on the Facebook page. And certainly if there's any questions that we missed, which I don't think we did, but we'll make sure we go back and look and get to those folks that may have answered questions. Just a little bit of housekeeping. You still free to put in the chat while I'm closing up here. Next month, on the 6th of October, is going to be our managing director of our Division of Education, Mike Campice. And you know, ESSER, I'm sure hopefully everybody knows about that. There's still tons of money out there to be had. And we still get questions from people, things like, I don't know anything about this. I don't know how to go about accessing the funds. I don't know what I can purchase with it. My school district's telling me I can't buy instruments. Well, Mike's going to come on and do sort of an update of where everything is with these ESSER funds, but he's also going to try to bring some people on live if we can get them to commit if they have time. But he's going to share some success stories of here's what we've been able to, when we receive these funds, here's what we've been able to do. I hate to I hate to sound like this, but being in administration before, as many of you are, I kind of have a feeling sometimes upper level administrators don't want music teachers to know that this money is available for them.
Exactly.
So yeah, right. So you know, if you don't have the resources and the information to go to them and say, hey, no, look, here's how I know this money is available, and here's how I know we can buy stuff for our fine arts programs. It's very valuable information. So again, I'm surprised that there's still people out there that are not sure. So Mike will be on with us, and certainly we have an ESSER page on our website. You just go to our con-summer.com website, look for the education tab, and go down that ESSER page. There's all kinds of tips and tricks on how to go about doing that. And then on November 3rd, some of you may have heard about our communities. We have several different communities that are going on that we've designed specifically for people with like-minded issues. So of course, we have our Music Administration Collaborative, we have our student leadership community, we have our parent booster community, we have our HBCU community, and we have our marching arts community. And we have a lot of people that are involved in those communities. They're also doing presentations every month, and it may not be something that you might be specifically interested in, but something that you could certainly pass along to your teachers, your directors that might want some of that information. So I'm going to have all those community members, the leaders of those communities, come on in November. Each of them just talk about 5 or 10 minutes about what their communities look like, the kinds of things that they're talking about. So hopefully it gives you some additional resources. So Gary, anything from you?
No, I'm good. This was such valuable and just a amazing set of information from Elisa. And I hope everybody can get to take advantage of every resource that she has presented, because it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it can be very, very overwhelming unless you have something like Elisa that can kind of sort it all out for us. And then the last thing, if you're going to Midwest in December, our Music Administration Collaborative group, we're going to have 3 presentations. One is Bob Morrison, who some of you have heard, many of you have heard. We've had him on, and he's got a crew of people that he's going to have with him, mainly some really prominent composers and Scott Edgar that are going to talk about the social-emotional learning through composition and through teaching composition, teaching through the pieces that they've written. So that's going to be a great session. It's an hour. It's all part of Midwest. So if you go to Midwest, you can just go to that session. We also have David Vanderwalker, who actually heads up our Parent Booster program, but he's also just going to be talking about building a successful program in general with emphasis on the booster programs. And then Nola Jones, who was with us, and you've seen her many times, she's going to bring a panel of directors and administrators back to talk about sort of what we've learned during these COVID times and how we had to change things. And so they're going to have this panel discussion again at Midwest in December. And we'll have all of that information on the website, on our Consummer pages. And next time, Beth is going to have some information about a new I guess, landing page, if you will, at Consummer that's going to have really easy ways to find all these recordings that we've had, so you don't have to look for one in the other in different places. We're going to have everything in one spot. So that's not only going to be good for you, but that's going to be good for me too, because sometimes I don't know where to find all those things. So unless anybody else has any questions, thank you as always for your participation, and we'll see you next time. Be safe out there.
Yeah, certainly be safe.
Yes. See you, Gary.
See y'all.